Okay, so one of the questions that I get asked all the time is how do you pace yourself for your first marathon? And so during this video today, I'm gonna walk you through what that looks like from your mindset going into it, the first couple miles, when to actually turn it up, and some philosophies and mindset around that. Now, the first thing is a lot of people, hear pace yourself, you gotta pace yourself and all of that. And they don't really know how. And so, especially for a marathon, when you're pushing to get every ounce out of the race go as fast as you possibly can, it's really important to pace yourself properly. And actually, I'm so grateful for my coach, Jeremy Miller, he was my coach for the Jersey City Marathon where I did a 2:51:30. I'm so grateful that I actually ran the race with him because I wouldn't have paced it as well as I did if he wasn't there. So typically before a race, you have a 2-week taper and then you have a carb load. So you're used to running a bunch of miles a week and then you drop the weekly mileage down and then also you increase the amount of carbs. So you're just banking energy in terms of carbs and then your legs are recovering. And so when it comes race day, you're probably feeling fresher than you have for a lot of the training block because you're not sore, you're not worn down and all of that. And so pair that with when there's 7,500 or so thousands of people at the race that you're at, it can be very easy to go out too fast. And actually, that's exactly what I did. At the Jersey City Marathon, Jeremy told me so many times before, hey Pierce, for the first couple miles, let's run a little bit slower than your goal pace, which was, I think it was 6:38 per mile. He's like, let's run 6:40, 6:43 for the first 3 miles. And that way you don't overdo it right from the jump because a lot of people, you feel so good, you feel so excited, the adrenaline's pumping and you want to go. And that's one of the worst things that you can do because then you end up blowing up. And so what we ended up doing is I think I ran my first mile at 6 minute or 6:20 pace, but Jeremy was yelling at me. He's like, dude, slow down, slow down, slow down. And finally, after the first mile, I slowed down and we started running about 6:40s for the second 2 miles or the second and third mile. So what I would say is the first 3 or so miles, run a couple seconds slower than your goal pace. And don't worry that, oh, I'm running slower than my goal pace by a couple seconds, I'm gonna lose time and all of that. That's a wrong mindset to have because you want to intentionally slow yourself down at the beginning. And instead of people think banking time by going faster from the start and then, it catching up towards the end, you want to focus on actually banking energy, which is saving energy for the end of the race. Because in a marathon, the real race begins after mile 20. And a lot of people, you probably heard about bonking and things like that. A lot of people go out too quick and then they bonk around mile 18 or 20 or so, and then the whole rest of their race is screwed. That's what happened to me during my first marathon is I bonked at mile 18 and I was doing whatever I could to just keep moving forward at the end of that race because all my energy was gone. Sure, I didn't train properly, I didn't carb load, I didn't taper, all those things, but pacing plays such a vital role. So after you've gotten the first 3 or so miles, anywhere from 2 to 5 seconds slower per mile than your goal pace, essentially what you're going to do is lock into right around your goal pace. Don't worry about if there's a hill or a climb and you end up running a little bit slower because chances are there's probably a downhill that will help you make up for it. So I'd say, if your goal pace is 6:38, aim to be within 6:35 to 6:41 or so. So some miles will be a little bit higher, some will be a little bit lower, and don't stress too much about it, but definitely pay attention, 100% pay attention. And then what I did is I just focused on getting to the next gel. I wasn't so focused. I checked my pace and things like that, make sure I'm good. But once I found a rhythm, it's nice. When you find a rhythm, you just go and you focus on hitting the next gel, which for me was about every 4 miles. So every 4 miles, I was taking a Morton gel, and that's what my focus was. Now, that's from about mile 3 to about 20. Now, once I kept telling myself, the race begins at 20, the race begins at 20, the race begins at 20. I'm saving my energy for mile 20, And that's when I'm gonna start to pick up the pace. And notice I didn't say like drastically pick up the pace, because the last thing you want to do is have paced yourself for so good during the race up until mile 20, and then you just gun it, and then you maybe bonk at mile 22 or 23. And so what I did is I told myself that, and then around mile 18 to 20, I started slowly progressing my pace down to the point where I think miles like 24 and 25, I was running 6:10 pace when my goal was 6:38 pace. And the reason I was able to do that is because I had really intentionally held back during the beginning of the race and progressed forward, negative splitted, however you pronounce it, the last 6 miles. And that made me feel so good about the way I paced the race, because I left everything out there, but I also didn't do it too early. So that's how you pace yourself for your first marathon. In summary, first 3 miles, run a couple seconds per mile slower than your actual race pace, because you're gonna be so excited, ready to go, all of those things. From about miles 3 to 20, you want to lock into your race pace. Don't worry if there's hills that you're a little bit slower, or downhills that you're a little bit faster by a couple seconds. Just maintain your effort, and it will all work out typically, unless you have like a crazy hilly course. And honestly, you shouldn't be doing a hilly course if you're really trying to go for your time. And then between miles 20 and 26, like start gradually progressing your pace down. Mile 25, 26, obviously just leave everything out there. So that's how to pace your first marathon. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and subscribe, because we're gonna be dropping the Moab 240 ultra marathon documentary from when I did the Triple Crown of 200s. We're gonna be dropping that once I hit 1,000 subscribers. So thank you so much for supporting the channel. I'm here to help you run your race.